Good evening, everyone. Today I will be discussing the collapse of the Soviet Union through a Marxist lens. In 1991, the world witnessed the rapid disintegration of the USSR, a state built on Marxist-Leninist principles. The question is, what structural issues led to its downfall? By applying a Marxist perspective, we can uncover the internal contradictions, the degeneration of socialism, and external pressures that contributed to its downfall. Let's begin to understand the core ideas of Marxism. Marxism views class struggles as a driving force of history. It sees the state's role as maintaining the power of the capitalist class and envisions a transition from a capitalist to a socialistic society through a working class action. The Soviet Union sought to transcend capitalism, aiming to build a classless society, and became a symbol of international socialist movements. However, the reality is far more complex, as we will see. According to Marxist theory, a socialist state should eventually wither away as the class structures disappear. But in the USSR, the opposite happened. Instead of dissolving, a powerful bureaucracy emerged, often referred to as the party elite. This bureaucratic class acted in its own interest, separate from the working class. Key Marxist theorists like Leon Trotsky criticized this phenomenon, describing it as Mordorian reaction, where a counter-revolution occurs within the revolution itself. Essentially, while the USSR was still normally socialist, real control was lost to its bureaucratic elite. Marx envisioned an economy where production was based on social need rather than profit. The USSR tried to implement this, but ran into significant contradictions. Centralized planning led to inefficiencies, waste, and stagnation. The focus on heavy industry over consumer goods resulted in shortages and dissatisfaction among the working class. Marxist theory critiques such economic mismanagement and form of alienation, where production processes are disconnected from the true needs of the people. The detachment of bureaucrats from the realities of the working class life led to ineffective economic planning, a key factor in the USSR's economic stagnation. Marx saw history as a story of class struggle, and ideally, a socialist state should eliminate class antagonisms. Yet, within the Soviet Union, a new form of class conflict emerged between the working class and the bureaucratic elite. Despite formal claims of socialism, worker uprisings and protests, like those in Poland, Hungary, and Czechoslovakia, exposed ongoing class tensions. The proletariat became disillusioned, feeling that the state no longer represented their interest. According to Marx, any system that alienates workers from decision making and the means of production is destined to fail. Externally, the USSR faced significant pressures from the capitalistic world. Marx argued that socialism in one country would always be threatened by surrounding capitalist states. Throughout the Cold War, the USSR was subject to containment strategies, economic sanctions, and military threats. The race with the United States drained resources that could have been used for essential sectors like consumer goods and infrastructure. Marx, Marxists argued that this diversion of funds served the interests of the bureaucracy and the state, not the working class. In the late 1980s, Gorbachev introduced reforms known as openness and restructuring to address internal pressures. However, these changes, rather than strengthening the systems, accelerated its collapse. From a Marxist perspective, introducing capitalistic market elements deepened its economic crisis, alienating both the working class and the bureaucratic elite. This instability created an opening for nationalist and capitalist movements, leading to its disintegration from the Soviet Union. So, why did the USSR fall so quickly? In summary, it betrayed its core principles of a Marxist theory. A socialist state that suspends workers' control, generates a bureaucratic elite, and fails to manage the economy in line with workers' needs is inherently unstable. Marxist analysts reveal that internal contradictions, class struggle, bureaucratic degeneration, and external capitalist pressures led to the Soviet Union's rapid collapse. However, the fall of the USSR does not invalidate Marxism. Rather, it underscores the risk of deviating from its fundamental principles. A true socialist society must ensure workers' control over the state and production, or it will face the same internal contradictions and external challenges.